are the different types of entrepreneurial people? Because we confuse those terms and we often mix them up. So I'm going to give you my thoughts. As a funder, my job is to determine if you have the true DNA, commitment, and skills to be a true startup entrepreneur that funders will invest in. Let me explain. At Venture Basecamp, we recognize 4 different types of people in the startup arena. The first type is what we call an enterprising person. Someone who sees a challenge locally, finds a way to solve it, and makes money from it. An enterprising person is aware of their surroundings and has an eye for things locally that need to be fixed or supported, or tools or services that people are needing and willing to pay for. It sounds kind of like an entrepreneur, but it's actually a little bit different. It's more of what investors refer to as lifestyle businesses. The second type is an entrepreneur. Like an enterprising person, an entrepreneur can also spot needs to be addressed in order to make money from them. However, unlike someone who's enterprising, an entrepreneur takes financial risk and responsibility in the hopes of getting more than income to actually start building a business with equity. There's also a third thing people talk about. You'll hear this all the time. I'm a serial entrepreneur. What does that mean? Well, these are startup guys. They build technologies and products and services. They may have created companies before. They're the company creators, but they're not the people who run companies. They usually build those businesses and hand them off to people who take the day-to-day responsibility. Investors are very clear. Beginning a startup is not the same as building a startup. As a venture funder, we look out for what we term startup entrepreneurs, venture-backed startup entrepreneurs. Like enterprising people, they have an eye for a problem that can be solved. But here's the difference. They think big, really big. They want to solve a problem or fill a customer desire that's felt and consumers are willing to pay for by the millions. Venture-backed startup entrepreneurs take a big picture view of a problem and try to solve it in a way that's profitable and valuable on a massive scale. They don't just look to make money. They create wealth by building a profitable company around that problem, that product, that solution, that can create significant equity value. What does it take to be a startup entrepreneur? Here's the first big sobering statistic of our series. 90% of all startups fail. It's actually higher than 90%, but at least 90% aren't successful. This path is definitely not for everybody. A startup entrepreneur is a combination of inherent traits and skills that are developed over time. You have to have the fundamental traits and you have to learn those skills necessary to be successful as a real startup entrepreneur. A few of the inherent traits that you've just got to have are a willingness to take risks, to fail, to lead in the face of adversity, and never take no for an answer. In addition, you need to be a problem solver all the time. You need to be a master juggler. Even if you look like you're handling 100 different things at once, you know which ones are important and you know what to focus on. Some of the skills you need to master are things like managing people, building trust with your stakeholders, listening to the market, and building scalable teams. Understanding economics, understanding problem distribution, market distribution, competitive issues. These are things that you need to really understand at a deep level, maybe not right at the beginning, but you need to understand that you have to learn these skills. If this doesn't excite you, stop and reconsider. There's no harm in recognizing that being a startup entrepreneur isn't for you. In fact, it's better to find this out now than to put in your time and your money and your energy just to realize you're not cut out for this later. On the other hand, if all of this excites you, you're a startup entrepreneur, and the information, programs, and skills of Venture Basecamp will help you scale that crazy, tough mountain of the startup you're about to embark on.